It's the post show.
Wow!
It's the last call. What's going on?
I can't zoom in. I can't be part of this.
We
One of us, Fiona.
decided to
Yeah.
go close and personal.
Why can't you
I
zoom in? You silly goose.
I can't zoom in.
You silly goose.
I can't zoom in, Trey.
With big faces.
It's too far.
You can see all my
Mm.
breakouts.
How
up
my
here.
breakout.
Yeah, welcome.
That wide
yeah.
shot. It looks like the leaders from when you're in that 4 shot, it looks like us from the end of Avengers when Nick Fury's talking to the wall. Of,
Oh, yeah.
No, Fury, you must destroy New York with a nuke.
I'm Zordon. That's what he says, right?
That's what he says.
Yeah.
I'm
Ranger.
Zordon.
Aye, aye, aye.
what should we
Danger.
what should we
Enough of
talk
that.
about?
I don't know if what do you want to talk about, Fiona?
I don't know.
What's tickling your fancy?
I
2020 is wrapping up.
I started getting this subscription called Hunt a Killer.
Yeah.
Was a killer?
What?
Yeah, and it's like a mystery, but like those mystery games where like you have to uncover like a crime or like who killed this person. It's like a board
Oh.
game, and
Yeah.
the subscription comes in like chapters for the season, so it's like 6 chapters each month, and it's about one story, and so I got it because it's a lot of fun.
That sounds like a blast. You know
Yeah,
what?
I love that shit. It's like you become the detective, and they give you like evidence bags, and like there's
Yeah.
little codes you
Mm.
have to decipher, and
See, that's awesome.
yeah, it's super cool.
That
So,
that reminded me. One of the plans that I plan to do, the things that I plan to do over the break is get back into board games, but specifically Arkham Horror, the card game.
oh yeah,
I played that with Trevor once.
Mhm.
But it's just fun because it's something that Jackie and I can do as a pair, and we can create we can choose our character, and then from there we can kind of like build out what kind of like deck we want, and then progress through this narrative story and make these different choices that show up later in the story or whatnot. And so I think I need to get back into that. It's been
yeah.
I was just
quarantine has
thinking
killed
about
my
that.
love for board games a bit.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that game the other day,
What a jerk.
actually, because that's I've been thinking the same thing. Is like we all started getting more into board games last year, especially towards the end, and then quarantine happened, and like we did a couple like game nights through Tabletop Simulator to try to scratch that itch, but it's just like it's not as it's
not the
obviously less
same.
like dynamic. It's not the same, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm just like I'm itching to get back into like we had D&D sessions going on. We had some game nights happening with board games and stuff.
Mhm.
Lou just
Yeah, we
gifted
had-
me like the whole root like the root base game as well as
that
like
looks-
the
yeah,
expansions
that's
and
a
stuff.
fun- yeah, that's a
Root
fun
is
game.
awesome.
Yeah. So we got I got the
we
I
were
got the
we were
itch
getting
again.
into we were getting into Root, and then when the expansions came out, a whole bunch of different things happened. It was at the point where Jackie and I were just going to our local board game and comic book shops every week. We'd go once a week. We'd pick up a new expansion for like Arkham Horror, or maybe there's a different game that I wanted to try out with everybody, and then pick up the latest version of a whatever comic I was reading, which there was a Carnage series or Venom series going on at the time, the X-Men series, and then that would be something I did every week, and it was
Yeah.
fucking awesome.
There's a board game I feel like you guys would like, and you can either play it alone or with like a second person. It's always better obviously to play with a second person, but like you could play it alone. It's called Chronicles of Crime, and you're sort of, again, you're like, I really like the detective kind of board games, and so there's a crime, and you get a bunch of character cards and a bunch of clue cards and everything, and you have to sort of figure out. You also need an app, and the app will like tell you, you could like scan the barcodes of each thing, and each person also has like a role they have.
Mm-hmm.
So you could either be like the doctor or the scientist or like forensics, or you could be a hacker, and you could be like the criminal kind of psychologist. And it's really cool, and you have so many stories you could do with just all these character cards. It can always switch up. So I would recommend it. It's a lot of fun.
I want to do like one of those murder mystery dinner parties. You know what I mean?
I
Oh.
one
It's
of
like-
these days I
Yeah, I've heard about those.
absolutely
Never
want
done
to
it.
do that.
Fiona, let's set one up. Let's set one
Let's
up like
do
as
one.
a
Let's
return
do
to
it.
form once like quarantine's
Let's
over.
do
Because
it.
like
Hey,
I've
Fiona,
always wanted to do one of
Let's do
those.
it.
Yeah.
I have a weird request for you.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Can you do your hair like this
Uh,
is that possible?
What? Yeah.
with those glasses? Could you pull off your hair where you do that?
I feel like
please?
I feel like my hair can't really because I cut it a little bit, but like I
Pretty-
can sort
it's
of.
puffy. You kind of got the
you gotta
glasses
make it like
for
into
it.
like a round like swirl. Oh, it's close though. Fiona,
Yeah.
it's close though.
You kind of
Yo, Fee, that's like a look though. You're like in the
Good
80s.
look.
Oh, you can get it. You can get it.
Fiona, I feel like
Yeah?
you're one of the few
Okay.
people that can pull that actual hairstyle. no one
Ghostbusters
should
80,
wear
dude.
that. No one should have that hairstyle, but you
I
could
had
do
a
it.
little mullet. I had a little mullet, but then I cut it. But it's
Mullets
coming
are
back.
in, dude. I'm thinking
Little
about growing one out.
Mullets are in.
They are. Have
Stop.
you seen Miley Cyrus?
I've seen Laser
no,
Beam.
I haven't actually.
Dude,
Yeah,
look,
Laser
Landon.
Beam's got his
Miley
mullet.
Cyrus currently
Katie's like,
has
you
a
should-
mullet
you
and
should-
it looks good.
Katie wants me to have a mullet. I'm like, no,
Yes,
no.
Jack.
And she's like, look, Laserbeam's got. I'm like, he's also like a 12-year-old kid. You know, he can pull it off. Like you shave my head, it's
How
gonna
old
look
is Landon?
stupid.
No,
It's like 25?
mullet.
20.
26?
He just had a birthday like
yeah,
yesterday.
26.
20.
You're right. Yeah.
And so, yeah,
I'm gonna be
little bastard.
26 in 2 years.
In
You're
2
so old.
years. I was like,
years.
I thought it was going to be like weeks, months, something
Oh,
relevant.
my
like
God.
2 years. Because like in the
So
podcast, you were like, when I was a
young.
kid, I went to Walt Disney when I was 23. And I was like, you mean
That
like
was last year.
yesterday?
Yeah, literally
Holy
last
hell.
year. That's crazy. It's crazy. I mean, like I met you guys. I just turned 22.
You're going to be a whole different
Damn.
person in like 8 years.
Isn't
Youngin.
that
You're like
crazy?
you're on like the edge of like your 20s. You change, your personality ebbs and
Oh,
flows.
I'm
you figure
gonna
things out. Like
change. I'm
it's weird.
changing, boy.
He's like, I'm
not
gonna
like a
be
bad
me.
way either.
I'm
No,
It's just,
not-
you
not-
just
but
like
no.
grow and change,
I
and
feel-
like things change.
I like, you know how people, I guess not usually people, but like more so, I don't feel shitty about my past. Like in a way where it's like I feel like I don't need to. How do I explain this? Like I don't.
You're not running away from
regret-
anything.
Yeah,
you,
I don't.
You did embarrassing stuff, I'm sure, because that's like I'm embarrassed by
that's every-
childhood me,
that's
but like
everyone.
I was never
Yeah.
like regretful. I was never
But,
like,
like-
oh, I need to be different. You know?
Yeah, and I don't feel like I need to ever go back to who I was. I feel like I'm getting each year I'm getting more comfortable in myself, and I
Mm-hmm.
just see the evolution of that. So like, man, when I'm 30, oh,
Get ready for it,
be
world.
So
unstoppable.
what do you see is
I'm gonna be
flexing?
unstoppable.
Oh.
She's like, yeah.
I'm gonna be unstoppable. When I'm 30, I'm gonna have
Apparently
so
buff,
much
too.
confidence. I'm gonna be
Fiona, when you're 30, I'm gonna
Fiona,
be dead.
you
It's
deserve
gonna
all
be
the
sad.
confidence right now.
no, Trevor. I don't. I pretend
Yes?
to. I
Well,
pretend
that's how you
to.
get confidence.
That's
Honestly,
how you do
that's how you get
That's how you
confidence.
do it.
Fake it, and
You
then,
fake
and then you
it till you
realize like,
make
oh,
it.
you're actually.
But
I mean,
I
fake it
just
till you
know
make it
that
is-
at 30 is gonna be my peak. Like I can't wait for my 30 years until like I'm 40.
Fiona, I need you to write on paper like what you expect out of 30-year-old self, because I turned 30 in about 5 days, so I need to like catch up. There's things I need.
I am so excited for you because you're gonna be 30. You're gonna be where I want to be. I want to be 30. I want to be 30 because I know I'm gonna love my life. I'm gonna be 30. I can do anything.
Something clicked this year,
Yeah,
I
money.
think for sure, and it was like, fuck it. Just like at some point, I think everyone faces that as they get older. That's just what I'm like fielding
Yeah,
from
no,
people. Like at a certain point, you just say fuck it, and you are who you are, and like people
Mhm.
either like that or not like that. Dude, I
Oh,
remember there being
shit.
fucking comments at one point where like and it wasn't this year, it was like maybe a year or two ago or whatever, and I just happened to be a little bit more mentally healthy, and because of that, like I was a little bit more confident in who I was, a little bit more outgoing, and like in just exposing who I was a little bit more, and
Mhm.
I just remember some like real shit comments that were like, "Man, he's just gotten too confident. He's just like, it's just like
It's
I
like,
like how
shut
he used
the
to be." And I was
fuck up.
like, you liked how I was when I was like just anxious all the time,
well,
and
I
depressed.
mean-
like, cool, thanks, guy.
Thanks,
like,
guys.
I mean, my sort of philosophy is just like the older I get, the less time I have on this earth. So why am I going to give any time
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
with fucking around with stuff that I don't give a shit about?
Yeah.
It's like I have
Yep.
so little fucks to give that I'm like, I'm not gonna spend been the time to worry about.
I know,
that.
like,
Yeah.
And so
I
that's my
when I
philosophy, at least.
started here, I was like, it was like my first time doing Always Open, and Barbara said something to me which I don't think I'll ever forget, but like it kind of hit me to where not that, which is why I feel like I am excited for my 30s. Was she was turning 30, I believe, or yeah, I think she was
Probably.
turning 30, and
Yeah.
she was saying like
That was
she
last
said,
year.
yeah, she said, I feel so much more confident in myself. And you could see it, like, you could see how Barbara is glowing currently. And it's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I just can't fucking wait
Glowing.
to when I'm 30 and I just feel like, you know, you're 30, you've lived enough to know, just to be confident
who
in
you
yourself,
are,
to
yeah.
not care
Yeah.
too much.
You hone in on
to-
that you
Yeah,
know?
and like you have, you know, like you're 30, you kind of figured yourself out. Like, I don't know. I'm just like, when Barbara said that, I'm like, you're absolutely right, dude. Your 30s are gonna be fucking 30s should be like 30s is when you actually start living. I feel
Everyone says their 30s are their best. And
yeah,
what's
and I
crazy is
agree.
like you could think about people like I always who comes to mind is like Samuel L. Jackson, for example.
Mhm.
Like when you look at so many people that you might look up to in the world, whether they're like famous actors or whether they're just like entrepreneurs or whatever it is, a lot of people really didn't start their life, right? They didn't get to where they are or start that road until deep into their 30s or sometimes
Yeah.
in their 40s. Like it's never too late to just start being who you are and like going
Absolutely.
for it. And so like that's what's kind of like, because like we all just like we kind of stay like young adults in permanently because of Achievement Hunter. It's just like it's a place where you just like keep doing whatever it is that you're like feeling passionate about, and I love that.
Mhm.
But like, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's been nice to like over my 20s to kind of hone in on who it is that I like really feel like I am, and then just like say screw it to like anybody that doesn't groove with it, because that's fine. Like that's fine. You don't
Yeah.
have to like everything.
Yeah,
But,
and I guess it's also like it's also this culture of like people wanting to have these crazy careers when they're younger. Like they have to have this amount of money when they're younger. Like if you're not famous and popular at 20, it's over for
Dude,
you.
yeah.
Like, you know, and I feel
Dude,
like it's been this culture for a bit, and it's like
Yeah.
it really doesn't have
Decades.
to be that.
I'm so happy that I didn't have money when I was younger, because like I really had to like work for everything that I
Yeah.
like had to
Mhm.
get, and it really like helped like level me, especially with like the things that I do now, the life that I'm living now, and it made me appreciate everything that I have now more so than ever. Just my point of, from you know the path that I walked, but also.
Yeah.
Young Alfredo with money would have bought a lot of stupid shit. Like, I would have.
That's how you
bought
get in trouble.
That's
yeah, I would have
Yeah.
bought an Evo 8 MR, carbon fiber hood on that bitch, Sparko steering wheel. Like I would have went nine.
Still gonna
the
get
whole
that though,
9
right?
You would have been
yards.
sparkling.
It's on the Christmas list.
No,
Yeah,
my
that-
late
That's the thing.
my late 20s. I got a Honda. It was very like
Reliable?
affordable, reliable, have no issues, practical, and it's
Yeah.
already paid
Mhm.
off. And
Then,
Still
then you get,
slick,
you get in
you
your
know?
30s and you buy yourself a Tesla and you realize like, oh yeah, I'll save money on gas. save on- Dude, I mean, like, even- I mean, like, Even like, you know, we started Achievement Hunter. I was 26 when we started Achievement Hunter,
Wow,
and
dude.
Jeff was 39, or excuse me, 29. And so it's like, yeah, I mean, like people think like, oh, 20s, that's the biggest. Like, no, not really. Like 20s is like the teens is when you're growing up. Like, you know, you basically like was 0 through 10 is nothing. And then,
Mhm.
you know, 10 through 20, it's like, okay, you're learning how to function as a human.
yeah.
The
Then
embarrassment
20s
for
is like
sure.
20, you think you know what's going on, but you have no idea. And then you're figuring shit out.
Mhm.
And 30s, when you apply, it's like, oh, this is what I know. And then 40s, I'd like to think is like you're refined at that
That's a
point. So-
thing that I hate. Yeah, that's the thing I hate, which I you know, I don't regret it, but again, it's like something I experienced where it's like I started being in the public eye when I was like 19, and also just being an achievement hunter starting at 22,
Mhm.
but pretty much 21. You know, like I was just like
yeah,
I you know, and unfortunately my growth, and unfortunately my growth is seen publicly in a way. Like
Yeah.
I'm not the same person that I was 2 years ago when I started, obviously. And it's like people will refer to that and use it either
Right.
against me or be like, oh, what happened? Why are you changing so much? And it's like, that's totally normal.
Yo,
Unfortunately,
your life
you
is
guys
on
had to
tape.
see
That's
it.
so unique. No
Yeah.
one else
Yeah.
has that, and like you can't be judged against. Like
yeah,
sometimes you just gotta
exactly.
forget
So I'm
the 2 years
somewhat-
ago self.
Exactly. So I'm somewhat judged for what I've done when I'm like 19, 20,
Yeah.
because it was already on it's in on the internet, it's there, and it's
Yeah.
obviously I'm not the same person, but
You're
it just
kinda like-
sucks that it's public. You know what I mean?
You're like the beginning of the generation that like their full life is on exposure.
Yeah.
Like it's all
Yeah.
on social
Mhm.
media. It's all just out there. It's like permanent track record in the like it can all be looked up. Like
Yeah,
part of
and
me
it's-
is thankful that
yeah.
I got to make mistakes and be a kid
100%,
and like learn and just
yes.
be embarrassing. Like mostly
just
in
say-
private. Like mostly
Yeah,
I'll say just
offline.
that, like, thank God Facebook wasn't a thing when I was in high school, because like, oh, there's a lot of shit that we did back then that I probably wouldn't go down well today.
Yeah,
So it's like, yeah,
it
I
just-
never have to
it-
worry
man.
about that.
Live and
it
fucking
sucks.
learn.
It's
Yeah.
at least specifically in my case, I feel like sometimes people are like, oh, she changed so much, and it's like, yeah, but that's normal. For you guys, it's crazy
Yeah.
because it's like it's all out there.
Yeah, I'm
But-
in my 60s at this point.
Yeah, so
You know,
it
well,
just
I-
happens. It happens in a blink of an eye.
as
You
fuck.
were
Yeah.
40, and then now you're 60.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Well, you said I look like, I remind you of my father who's 65. 66.
absolutely,
Yeah, she did.
100% do, and I will not go back on that. You remind me
Jack,
of my
I'm so
father.
sorry.
What's spookiest, I think, even is like as a young person probably listening to this, like I was once a young person listening to this very same thing. Jack's outlining the pattern of life that most
Yep.
people just kind of experience. And it's just like you don't want somebody to be able to pinpoint how your life is going to go or how you are going to evolve, but that is exactly what happens. And like
Yep.
it's
It's like, not me.
accurate, you know?
Not me. That's I'm all grown up, and then you're like, what? And then when
Right.
you hit 30, you're like, what the fuck
What
was
I mean,
I
we're all the
doing? Like,
protagonists
No,
of our
right,
own story.
exactly
We're
how
all
that shit
special,
goes.
but like there's
Yeah.
some macro trends that we just can't shake, you know?
I mean, you gotta pull the TV on top of your head. It's got to be a thing. Like you gotta make your mistakes. It's like, I mean, I can give advice to anyone who's in their 20s now, but it's like you're probably still gonna do what you're gonna do, and hopefully you'll
You
turn
got to
out for
live
the best.
those
yeah.
lessons.
Live your life,
Yeah.
dog. That's how
Anyway.
it goes.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear, Fiona, you're excited about getting older. Like that actually makes me happy, because a lot of people
Yeah.
fear getting old.
Oh
and it's
no,
like,
bro! When I'm
actually getting old is
30,
pretty cool.
someone's got to stop me.
Fiona, think about your
I'm
401k.
gonna go on a
It's growing right now.
tear.
By the time you're my age, you're gonna have so much money in your 401k.
I'm gonna have so much money.
And then-
Just in
then-
general.
40,
Yeah, boom.
40 is when I get to do everything I've ever wanted.
Fiona, start putting money in stock right now. Invest in
I don't know
Apple.
how to do that.
You can.
It's-
I'll walk you
that
through. We'll
seems
we'll
like
get
a
you an E-Trade
process.
account.
It's
It'll be
just like
fun.
a
The sooner you
process
can
that
do
I
it,
don't
the
know
better.
What I want to do.
Something I need to like Jenga.
Go to-
They're
or-
I'm just happy-
whitewashing us.
Oh no! Oh god, Fiona, I'm just happy you go to the dentist, because like that was the thing. I used to get yelled at and made fun of for going to the dentist, and then everyone's
Go to the
teeth are
dentist,
falling
please
out.
floss, guys,
Go
please
to the
floss.
dentist.
Become
For the love
my
of God,
friend,
go to the
please
dentist.
fucking
It
floss.
gets worse.
Wear a mask.
It does not fix itself. It doesn't fix itself. Go to the fuck